There is a fee mandate that we're imposing on gun owners that helps to pay through a nonprofit foundation.
Whether the health of a person or property damage would not be borne by you and us, but borne by the gun owner.
Insurance for gun owners being considered at the state capitol. The Democratic bill cleared its first hurdle tonight.
Legislation that would require gun owners to buy liability insurance for their weapons.
First city in the United States to require gun owners to buy liability insurance and pay a yearly fee.
But we begin here with the massive protests across the country against gun violence following the massacre.
All right, let's dive into the wild world of insurance, where surprises lurk around every corner. You're chilling, minding your own business, and suddenly, bam, you check your bank account and notice your car insurance payment has skyrocketed without warning. What gives, right? Well, I've been there, my friend, and let me tell you, it's like getting hit with a curveball while you're already down. Companies think they are raising our premiums like it's nobody's business. It's enough to make you want to pick up the phone and give them a piece of your mind. But guess what? They've got all the power in their hands. No calls, no explanations, just a nice little surprise waiting for you when your policy renews. Talk about a rude awakening. And here's the kicker. It's not just about the money, although that's definitely a big part of it. It's about the principle, you know? Like, why should they get to decide how much we pay without even bothering to explain themselves? It's like they're playing a game of, let's see how much we can squeeze out of them this time. And we're the unsuspecting players caught in their web of fine print and hidden fees. But wait, it gets even crazier. You know who else plays by their own rules without a care in the world? Tax agencies. Yeah, you heard me right. I'm talking about those lovely folks who make sure we cough up our hard-earned cash every year. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for paying my fair share, but when they start throwing curveballs like insurance companies do, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? I mean, think about it. Both insurance companies and tax agencies have this crazy amount of power over our finances, and they're not afraid to use it. They can raise our rates, change the rules whenever they feel like it, and leave us scratching our heads wondering what just hit us. It's like they're in cahoots, playing a game of who can surprise the customer more. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not about to let them win without putting up a fight.
Very clear that there were ramifications to passing America's most insane gun control.
Whether the health of a person or property damage would not be borne by you and us, but borne by the gun owner.
Vote today on whether or not to require an annual fee and liability insurance for households with a gun.
Existing gun insurance models. Let's talk guns and insurance, shall we? Strap in, because we're about to dive into the murky waters of existing gun insurance models, and trust me, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. First off, we've got these so-called insurance-based self-defense coverages, and let me tell you, they're about as reliable as a broken compass in a storm. Sure, they promise to have your back if you ever find yourself in a sticky situation where you need to defend yourself with your firearm, but here's the catch. When push comes to shove, they're quick to find loopholes faster than you can say self-defense.
But making sure that we are creating guardrails for responsible gun ownership.
There is a fee mandate that we're imposing on gun owners that helps to pay through a nonprofit foundation.
Negligent or accidental use of firearms. Now, that bill has been discussed in the New York State Senate for several years now.
Gun owners will be required to maintain liability insurance in the event that their gun is used for violence.
I'm talking about insurance companies that'll do anything to avoid covering your claim. It's like they've got a playbook full of excuses ready to go at a moment's notice. Oh, you fired your weapon in self-defense? Sorry, not sorry, but we don't think it counts. Or how about this one? Your claim doesn't meet our criteria for coverage. Say what now? It's enough to make you want to pull your hair out in frustration. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room, the almighty dollar. Yup, you guessed it. These insurance companies are in it for one thing and one thing only: cold hard cash. They'll happily collect your premiums month after month, but when it comes time to pay out on a claim, suddenly they're nowhere to be found. It's like they've got selective amnesia or something. But here's the thing that really grinds my gears: the profit-driven nature of it all. I mean, come on. Shouldn't insurance be about, I don't know, actually helping people when they need it most? Call me old-fashioned, but I thought that's what insurance was supposed to be all about. Instead, It's become a game of maximizing profits at the expense of hardworking folks like you and me.
And responsible gun ownership. And now that guns kill more people than cars.
Insurance for gun owners being considered at the state capitol. The Democratic bill cleared its first hurdle tonight.
That a gun owner would have to get coverage for the liability of their gun.
Exercising your Second Amendment right now comes with an insurance requirement.
Proposed mandatory gun insurance. All right, let's break down this proposed mandatory gun insurance legislation and see what all the fuss is about. So first things first, we've got this bill on the table that's stirring up quite the controversy. It's all about mandating gun owners to have insurance for their firearms. Yep, you heard me right. The government wants to make sure that if you're packing heat, you've also got some insurance to go along with it. Now, on the surface, this might sound like a noble idea, right? I mean, who wouldn't want to make sure that responsible gun owners are covered in case something goes wrong? But here's where things get interesting. There's been some speculation floating around that this mandatory gun insurance could actually be a goldmine for insurance companies. Think about it. If every gun owner is required by law to have insurance, that's a whole lot of new customers lining up at the door. Cha-ching! And let's not forget about the potential for insurance companies to upsell additional coverage, like self-defense policies. It's like a match made in heaven for them.
Tame law would require gun owners to insure their firearms, that coverage already available through home or renter's insurance.
It infringes on Second Amendment rights and is an unconstitutional tax on gun ownership. Legislation that would require gun owners to buy liability insurance for their weapons.
So it is no way that requiring insurance of a gun owner is somehow interfering with their right to have a gun.
But of course, not everyone is jumping on the bandwagon. Oh no, we've got supporters and opponents duking it out like it's the fight of the century. On one side, you've got folks arguing that mandatory gun insurance will protect people in case of accidents and promote responsible gun ownership. It's like the seatbelt laws for firearms, they say. But on the flip side, you've got critics raising some valid concerns. They're worried that this could just be another financial burden for gun owners, especially those who are already struggling to make ends meet. And let's not forget about the potential for government overreach. I mean, who's to say they won't use this as an excuse to track gun owners or impose even more restrictions down the line? Insurance-based coverage. All right, listen up, because I've got a hot tip that just might save you a headache or two when it comes to insurance-based coverage for your guns. First things first, drop it like it's hot. Seriously, if you're currently relying on one of those insurance-based self-defense coverages, it might be time to say thanks, but no thanks. Trust me, you'll sleep a whole lot easier knowing you're not tangled up in their web of fine print and excuses. But fear not, because I've got a game-changing alternative for you. Attorneys on retainer. Picture this. Instead of shelling out your hard-earned cash to some faceless insurance company, you invest in having legal firepower on standby. These attorneys are like your personal army, ready to spring into action at a moment's notice if you ever find yourself in a legal jam. And here's the best part, they've got your back no matter where you are in the good old US of A. That's right, nationwide coverage. So whether you're kicking back in California or raising hell in Texas, you can rest easy knowing that your legal defense team is just a phone call away. But wait, there's more. These attorneys aren't just here to hold your hand and offer moral support. Oh no, they're ready to go to bat for you in court, bail you out if things get hairy, and make sure you come out on top no matter what. Plus, there's none of that pesky recoupment clause nonsense that insurance companies love to throw in your face. So there you have it, folks. The choice is clear. Ditch the insurance-based coverage and join the ranks of those who are smart enough to invest in legal protection. With attorneys on retainer by your side, you'll never have to worry about being left high and dry when the chips are down. It's time to take control of your destiny and say goodbye to insurance headaches once and for all.
First, there's an insurance requirement, liability insurance, which is broadly available in the market today for any homeowner or renter.
And so we've created avenues to make sure that, again, we are not impeding on anyone's constitutional rights.
First in the nation to adopt such legislation. Why do you believe it's necessary?
First city in the United States to require gun owners to buy liability insurance and pay a yearly fee.
Warning against government overreach. All right, buckle up, folks, because we're about to talk about some serious stuff. government overreach, and the slippery slope of mandatory gun insurance laws. First off, let's address the elephant in the room, your personal information. You see, when you sign up for one of those insurance-based self-defense coverages, you're essentially handing over your personal data on a silver platter to the government. Yep, you heard me right. They've got access to everything from your name and address to your gun ownership status. And let's be real here, do you really want Big Brother knowing all of that juicy info? I didn't think so. But wait, it gets even scarier. Now imagine a world where mandatory gun insurance laws are the norm. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, buckle up because it could become a reality sooner than you think. And with it comes a whole slew of potential consequences. Think fines, penalties, and even gun confiscation if you dare to lapse on your policy. Talk about government overreach at its finest.
This instead is just saying that we should not bear the cost of the damage that your gun might cause.
Only about $50. And so there are protections for folks that can't afford it, but are responsible gun owners.
That the ordinance would simply penalize law-abiding gun owners and would not solve the problem.
You think of it, we require every car owner to have liability insurance. Why wouldn't we do the same for a gun owner?
But here's the kicker. Even with all these fancy schmancy laws in place, do you really think it's going to make a dent in the violence problem? I hate to break it to you, but it's like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. Sure, it might make some folks feel warm and fuzzy inside, but at the end of the day, it's not going to do squat to address the root causes of violence in our society.
President Joe Biden is calling on Congress to pass legislation to reduce gun violence.
But we begin here with the massive protests across the country against gun violence following the massacre.
Many observers and advocates say the shootings should be a springboard for new action.
Slaughter is too easy in this country and it needs to stop.
That's all for this video, folks. See you next time.